Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hello Dave, and this time around we're actually going to start this week in Star Citizen, where we got a little bit of an insight into this persistent entity streaming, which I think is going to be one of the biggest additions to Star Citizens. Now, if you're not familiar with what persistent entity streaming is, it's the whole system that used to record and keep states of ships and items in the game, meaning that if you drop a gun somewhere under a tree on a planet, you could potentially log out, log back in, and then you could go back and pick up that gun again, or someone else could go and pick it up even after you log off and you're online. It's pretty cool, and we got some new information of it. First of all, the first version of it, the first iteration of it, is going to be launched in the 3.18 update. So that's going to be a massive update. We'll also expect that to be a little bit of a more unstable patch, because when we're dealing with so much like backend stuff, usually that means the first couple of patches is going to be a little bit unstable until they manage to iron it out. But as I said, it means that it's going to keep states of items where basically you can, as I said, go drop a gun under a tree or park your ship somewhere on a planet, and then basically you could leave and the thing will stay there. Each ship and item can only exist on one server at the time, and these things are going to be server-wide. So there's a bit of a caveat here, because while you could log into a server, drop a thing under a tree and then log out, when you log back in, if you're not put into the same server again, that thing will be gone. And that means that since there's no real matchmaking system that makes sure you always get to the same server, effectively, this is mainly going to be a thing that you can use for stuff like crash recovery, but also to add a little bit more life into the galaxy. With other players been in a certain area, they killed some NPCs, it's going to be easier for you to go and see those same NPCs being dead and the same loot lying around and stuff like that. But yeah, as I said, this also applies to ships, and I believe that also means that when you log out from the game, if your ship has been in space, the way I understand it at least, then if you log back in, that ship will then be streamed into your server and will still be in space where you left it. And I mean, you can go out and get it potentially if you want it, or if it's on a planet, you can go and pick it up. It's not going to exist on multiple servers at the same time, so it's going to be moved between servers. I think it's a little... But some of the things that they are going to be keeping stat on as well is the multifunction displays inside the ship. A lot of you guys will know that every time you put a ship into storage and you take it out again, your MFD settings, all like what panels do you want to see and what screens around and like your preferred setup, it's going to be reset. Same with like your weapon configuration. If you put them in on specific triggers, reset every time. You have to go and set that up every time. That's going to be stored now as part of this persistent entity streaming. But I think the main thing this is going to add is improved crash recovery, meaning that hopefully that means if you have a crash or the server crashes or something like that, it should be a lot more likely, it should be a lot easier for the game to put you back into your ship. It's kind of ish works sometimes in the game now, but it should be a lot more consistent that you're put back into your ship where you left, and not just spawn in the hospital bed or in a hab or something, but instead you'll be actually spawning in your ship. But there is some issues with this that they need to address. And that is the fact that combat locking is all of a sudden becoming a thing. It's going to become a thing. I don't really think combat locking is a big issue in Star Citizen at the moment. And it's kind of a side effect of the fact that persistent entity streaming is not there. Because if you log out, any cargo you were carrying, well, that's gone. So if you log out of, if you're a trade ship and you log out, well, that cargo is going to be gone anyway. So what's the point? You might as well try and fight until the bitter end and see if you can escape. Which, of course, the way it should be in a combat scenario where you, of course, are not going to log out. But with persistent entity streaming, theoretically, what you could was just like simulate a crash by, I don't know, Alt F4 or whatever out of the game. The game could think you crashed. It's going to dump your location and all the ship stats and all your cargo into the database. Next time you log in on a different server where the pirate is not, well, you're going to be there, and effectively, as you can see, this is going to introduce combat locking. And CIG did mention this and say this is a problem that's going to be introduced with persistent entity streaming that they do not yet have the result on, mainly because it's apparently a different team that does this. So I don't know, but that is going to be an issue. PvP in Star Citizen is a funny thing, since it often happens in very few areas. There's a lot of stuff happening out around, I think, Port Olisar, obviously Jumptown. But one thing that I think CIG has done really well is that they have made these PvP specific events like Jumptown, and to a point also some of the other dynamic events where they are focused around PvP, and they are intended to be PvP events where you can fight for one or the other side. And because of that, my experience has been that it's very rarely that you actually meet other hostile players in the game. There are certain areas, if you go to Port Olisar, you're much more likely to meet them. If you go to Grim Hex, you're much more likely to meet them. But if you're just minding your own business and flying around, your risk of running into a pirate is very low. Funnily enough, the few times that I have encountered hostile players has almost always been while I've been live streaming. So yeah, that's odd. No, but anyway, I think it's an interesting thing, and it's going to take Star Citizen in make it much more. It's going to make crashes a lot less, make it a lot less harsh, and it's going to make the game feel a lot closer to a finished product when you have that persistency and you just respawn where you left and you don't just spawn back at a bed somewhere. So that's definitely something that I'm going to look forward to a lot. Now, I don't know exactly when 3.18 is going to come out. They did say that 3.18 is going to go through an extended test phase, so we'll see that something's going to be longer than usual, sorry. I think it's about, if it hasn't already, it is about to go into Evocati. And that's this first closed off test before it even goes out on the official test servers, where they have a hand-picked few players that's allowed to go in and test it out in its very, very early stages. And these tests are often under NDA. People are not allowed to say anything or leak anything at these points in time. But then later on, it's going to move into Wave 1 PTU and then Wave 2 PTU before it makes it to the live. CG has said that this is going to be a longer period. They're going to spend more time, specifically because of this persistent entity streaming. It's going to need to be tested, and it's going to be tested a lot. So I would expect that it's going to be probably a month from now, maybe more, before we're going to see this hit the Wave 1 PTU, and then probably a number of weeks after that again before we begin to see Wave 2. So my guesses are that we're gonna get pretty close to the end of the year before we see 3.18 actually hit the live servers. So it's not something that's just around the corner, but it's something that's going to be a massive change to the game that I'm looking forward to a lot. Now, moving over to some drama in Elite Dangerous, because this week we got a number of updates. First of all, of course, we got the update, what are we at, 13 now, where we got the 4.0 graphic introduced into Horizon. And of course, we also had the console transfer going live, and people can now transfer their accounts over, which a lot of people have done. And actually to the point where on the day they released it, there was a queue, I think like a 5-hour queue for people to have their account transferred. So obviously there was a huge interest for this, and a lot of people have transferred over and is now playing on PC. The controversy or the drama started because, as I said, we got Horizon 4.0, and you should know, if you're not familiar with it, there are basically two versions of the Elite graphic engine right now. There's the one that's called 3.8, and there's one called 4.0. 4.0 is obviously the new one that we got with Odyssey, and the 3.8 is the old one that was before Odyssey, so the one we've been used to in Horizon. Now, after they launched 4.0 on Horizon, so the new graphic engine on Horizon, that means that all commanders who have Horizon can now, when they launch the game from the launcher, have the choice between whether they want to launch the game with the 3.0 engine or the 3.8 engine on the 4.0. So when they want to launch with old graphic or new graphic. All good. People have the choice. Do whatever you like. If your machine can't run the new graphic engine, You don't have to. You can just use the old one, and that's still available. So no problems there. Now, the problem is, for Horizon players, if they want to launch Horizon, they only have the option to launch with the old graphics, not the new one. And that means, because the way instancing works is, if you're playing with two different graphic engines, you cannot instance together, you cannot team up. If one is playing Horizon and one is playing Odyssey, you cannot team up, despite what Frontier actually told us prior to launching Odyssey. Because that Odyssey players do not have access to Horizon in the new graphic engine, they can only play Odyssey in the new graphic engine. That means that if I, as an Odyssey commander, wanted to play together with someone who does not own Odyssey, the only game mode where we could play together, or the only version of the game where we could play together, would be the old graphics in Horizons. Obviously, we can't play together in Odyssey. But even if both my and whoever I want to play with, PC is capable of running the new graphics, and we wanted to go and explore the depths of space together with the new graphic engine, it would not be possible. And that sparked quite a bit of controversy. A lot of people saw this as kind of a dick move by Frontier, to not allow Odyssey commanders into Horizon with the old one, because it kind of it not forces, but it means that if you want to play together with your friends, you're going to encourage them, just buy Odyssey so we can play together, because it's going to be a very old version of the game that you're going to be playing on if you don't want to if you want to actually play together with them. So I don't know if it's an oversight. I haven't actually seen if there was a direct response to this from Frontier. If there is, I've missed it. But I don't know. Either it's an oversight or just outright a dick move. I don't know. They might have some excuse for it. I don't know. I haven't been able to find anything. But if I missed it, please let me know in the comment section, and be sure to pin it. And now on to some more channel-related news. A lot of you will know that I have actually recently moved my merch store over to a new provider. That means that I now have a brand new, spanking new merch store. A lot of the products that you're used to, like the Remember Your Olympus marker, the pre-flight checklists, and all the t-shirts like before, and all that stuff is still available. Exactly the same as they were before. Nothing has changed. It's just a new provider. And then okay, so why is this a thing? Why did I even decide to move if it's the same products? Mainly because the old way I was running it had quite a bit of running costs. And then those running costs were pretty much eating up the majority of the profit from the store anyway. So in order to make it a little bit more cost effective to run it, I decided to move over to a new provider. But not only that, they also allowed me to make some products that I couldn't before, because they have other products available. These big mounted desk pads that fill up the entire desk with some cool like space-themed backgrounds, which I'm still waiting for mine to show up. But I'm really looking forward to it. It should be awesome. But there's also a lot of other things, not only that I reduced the running cost on it, but also because it has tight integration with YouTube, so it's easier for me to integrate stuff like into the live streams. But also they have this really cool feature where I have an app on my phone, and whenever one of you guys buy something, I get obviously a notification about it. I can see what people bought, and it also allows me to send a little just like a short little thank you video thing to people which have been using it. It's actually been quite enjoyable being able to say thank you back to you guys. So those of you who've already been on the new merch store and ordered something, you should have received a small video from me saying thank you for whatever you bought. And the new store also has some options that you can send a message along with it, something like that. It's nice to have an extra way to integrate to talk more directly with people like that. I think it's nice. Now, I just wanted to mention it because it's something that's been taking up a noticeable amount of my time. But now that it's up and running, hopefully that means it's gonna be a little bit less maintenance. And I was planning to have a launch here at the end, proper launch here at the end of September. And it seems like that deadline should be easy enough to reach. But yeah, if you want to check it out, it's at d2eastore.com. Moving over to live streams. Live stream this week is going to be moved. I'm not going to be live streaming Tuesday. Instead, I'm going to be live streaming Wednesday, simply because Tuesday is my birthday. I'm going to go out with my wife for dinner, and that means I'm not going to be sitting at home playing computer games with you guys. That's going to be on Wednesday instead. So live stream moved to Wednesday, and it's going to be the same time and place as usual, 7 o'clock GMT on YouTube and on Twitch. The exact topic of the live stream I'm not really sure about yet. I've considered to go in and do some I mean, I've been live streaming Star Citizen for the last 2 weeks. So I wanted to go maybe in Elite and play, so maybe to do some exploration. I don't know, these exploration streams are often very, very casual, very chill. So that could be a fun thing to do, go out and explore some planets. I've been considering if we could do anything with the new console launch, doing a live stream, like find some console commanders that's transferred over and help them get going maybe. I don't know. I'll see what I come up with. Ideas are welcome in the comment section. It's likely going to be something in Elite, maybe exploration, maybe something else, we'll see. But at least it's going to be moved on to Wednesday, so no live stream tomorrow, but we'll have to wait until the day after tomorrow instead. That's it for this week. Thanks a lot for watching, and also next time, I'll see you guys in space.